Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Media Pulse, the show where we help you make sense of Thai politics.
And today, certainly, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, a lot of new developments this
Right.
week.
But we have to say that it has been a rather tumultuous week for Thai politics.
Yeah.
Last Saturday, we saw a huge rally that only added to the mounting pressure on the besieged Paetongtarn government. And that was followed by a cabinet reshuffle, which saw Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra working hard to juggle the interests among the parties that still hang on with her in her coalition government. And all the while, Cambodian strongman Hun Sen did not stop adding fuel to the fire of the border conflict with Thailand.
Exactly. Also, we had the big shock. The Constitutional Court unanimously accepted the charges of misconduct and gross violation of ethical standards against Paetongtarn Shinawatra for deliberation. So, more importantly, the court also suspended her from performing active duty as Prime Minister pending a ruling on the case. So the court's decision has suddenly plunged Thai politics into a period of uncertainty, definitely.
And of course, the immediate question is, what is the future of the young Prime Minister and that of her newly sworn-in government? The answer is, it is riddled with a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah.
And what is most uncertain is the future of the young Prime Minister herself. Political observers and most media analyses seem to concur that the writing is on the wall for her.
Yeah, the Constitutional Court is expected to at least take a month before it comes up with a ruling. But before we look into the future, let's quickly recount how things unfolded throughout the week and how we get here at this point. What has happened to Paetongtarn is definitely unprecedented because in the sense that the job of a prime minister in Thailand this time is threatened by a non-domestic issue.
It all has to do with her disastrous phone call with Cambodian strongman Hun Sen in the midst of the border dispute between the two countries. Critics believe that how she handled the conversation amounted to treason. That's why she has been branded a prime minister who is selling the country to our enemy.
Yeah, that was the narrative at the demonstration last week that I was also there to cover as well. But even after the court order, the grim-faced Paetongtarn Shinawatra reiterated that she did nothing wrong or damaging to the country. And she repeated her argument that she initiated the phone call with Hun Sen with the intention of trying to prevent the escalation from getting worse, and that she made no personal gains from it. She said her intention was to protect national sovereignty and to prevent bloodshed, and she apologized for having made some people uneasy with the phone call.
During the phone call, she was heard asking Hun Sen to ignore the regional army commander in charge of the border areas, whom she described as our opponent, who loves to show off. But she later apologized to the general when she met him while visiting the border areas to show her support to the military.
Yeah, also in that phone call, in the conversation, she asked the former Cambodian Prime Minister for his sympathy because she was facing a lot of criticism at home. She said at one point, "Tell me what you want and all can be arranged." People are not happy about it. And Paetongtarn has been defending her remarks to Hun Sen as part of her negotiating tactics to ease tensions between the two countries.
But a group of senators did not buy her argument and co-sponsor a petition asking the Constitutional Court to dismiss her as Prime Minister on the grounds that the phone call was considered a misconduct and a gross violation of ethical standard. But despite mounting pressure for her to quit or either to dissolve the parliament, it's obvious that Paetongtarn has chosen to tough it out.
Yeah, she has 15 days to submit her defense against the charges. And speaking to journalists shortly after the court decision on Tuesday, the Prime Minister expressed confidence that she can prove that her phone conversation with Hun Sen was carried out in national interest. But political observers and legal experts have pointed out that the decision by the 9 judges to pursue the charges against her was unanimous, making her defense a major challenge.
But her party, Thai Party, has yet to outline clearly its plan of action. However, the party's known trump card, and the party seems to have only one trump card left, is the remaining candidate for Prime Minister, Kun Chaikasem Nitisiri. So if worst comes to worst, and Paetongtarn loses her premiership, the party is certainly more than ready to play that card. The 76-year-old former Justice Minister has said that he is prepared to take up the country's political top job, if that's what his party wants.
Well, she may no longer be calling the shots as the country top executive, but Paetongtarn is making sure that she is not going anywhere. You know why? Because she appointed herself Culture Minister as part of the cabinet reshuffle just 2 days before the Constitutional Court stopped her from performing her duty as Prime Minister. But the appointment is being legally challenged now.
Now, her opponents pointed out that the charges filed with the Constitutional Court against her deal with alleged misconduct and serious breaches of ethical standard. And so they went on to argue that constitutionally, the ethical standard applies not only to the Prime Minister, but also to members of the cabinet. That means, in their opinion, Paetongtarn should also be suspended from performing her duty as Culture Minister.
Yeah. And sure enough, a well-known political activist wasted no time in asking the Senate to file a petition with the Constitutional Court, asking it to order her to do just that, to refrain from working as Culture Minister. But on the other hand, her supporters in the Pheu Thai party insisted that the court's suspension order against her should have no bearing on her job as Culture Minister.
One of her biggest defenders, of course, is Kun Thaksin, minister attached to the PM's office and a top legal expert of the party. He pointed out that the court has yet to rule on the charges against Paetongtarn. Therefore, she should be assumed to be innocent, right? So, Kun Chusak said, stopping her from working as Culture Minister at this point would amount to a presumption of guilt, which is not fair to her.
Yeah, so we do have two sides of the arguments, equally strong and makes sense. So, Suriyatun Rungkit, speaking then in his capacity as acting Prime Minister, said the Council of State had confirmed that there was no legal problem with Paetongtarn's appointment as Culture Minister. So for the record, Surya assumed the role of acting Prime Minister for just 4 days after Paetongtarn was suspended on Monday. Two very important things he did. He led the newly appointed cabinet members to an oath-taking ceremony before His Majesty the King on Thursday. And a few hours later, he convened a special cabinet meeting during which Phumtham Wechayachai, the newly appointed Deputy Prime Minister, was named the new acting Prime Minister.
Talking about the acting Prime Minister, questions have arisen over the power that he has. What he can do, in fact, is clearly written in the so-called State Administrative Act, which has one particular article dealing with the power and responsibility of an acting Prime Minister. It states that the acting Prime Minister is empowered to exercise all the authority granted to the Prime Minister in managing the affairs of the state. But what it doesn't say is whether dissolving the Parliament or the House is considered to be part of the affairs of the state.
Okay, makes sense. There has been speculation about the possibility of the House being dissolved in the midst of current political turmoil, as we all know. In fact, dissolving the House to pave the way for a snap election has been a demand made by many people to end the current political deadlock. Most vocal is the main opposition party, the People's Party. Its leader, Nathapong Ruapanyawut, said he believes a house dissolution is the best answer to the problem the country is facing. Give the power back to the people and let them decide. That's what he said.
But that seems to be the lone voice among all the political parties, and the reason is rather obvious. The most recent opinion poll and the prevailing general mood of the public suggests that the People's Party would stand to gain the most from a snap election. The poll conducted by the National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDA, shows that the party has the highest approval rating, with as much as 32% of the people supporting its leader, Nattapong, as the next prime minister. The current Prime Minister Paetongtarn's approval rating, meanwhile, has plunged to as low as 9%.
Big difference.
So you can see the reason why the People's Party has been calling for a house dissolution.
Yeah, but a snap election would cost a lot. It will be expensive for the country. Anyway, Nattapong is not on the list of prime minister candidates of the party, and therefore is not qualified to be for the post in the current political setup. But a new general election is only a way that could put him back on track to claim the premiership.
But most political analysts believe that Pheu Thai Party, the core of the current ruling coalition government, is unlikely to play along, knowing full well that it's not ready for a snap election.
Yeah, the party has little to boast about to regain voters' support. It has largely failed to deliver most of its campaign promises, so political analysts believe that Pheu Thai Party will try to hang on to power for as long as possible, during which it will try to introduce some populist policy that should help with its political standing. And at the same time, it will also make sure that it has control on the annual reshuffles of bureaucrats and personnel of the Interior Ministry, which the party now supervises. And of course, the party also wants the annual reshuffles of the military and police to take place under its watch.
As we said earlier, the bet may now be on Kun Chaikasem Nitisiri as the next Prime Minister. The choice to be made by the Pheu Thai Party, most likely to be made by the Pheu Thai Party. But what about Kun Anutin Chanvirakul, leader of Phumchai Thai, now the second biggest party in the opposition bloc? Because all of a sudden, the Thai media were flooded with rumors that Kun Anutin is gunning for the premiership in the event that Paetongtarn is disqualified by the Constitutional Court. And he was said to have approached the People's Party, the biggest opposition party, for its support for him to succeed Paetongtarn as transitional prime minister.
Yeah, the rumor was so widely reported that it eventually prompted Anutin to come out and deny it. He said, "I am puzzled. When did I offer myself to the post?" And he said, "This is not the time." Yeah, he told reporters and described the rumor as the work of an information operation. But, with the Phumchai Thai Party's growing influence, Anutin has consistently been viewed by the media as a prime minister in waiting. As a prime minister candidate, I am always ready to be prime minister, he said, but denied having any ambition to become prime minister at this particular juncture.
But even if he entertains such ambition, it would be very difficult for him trying to muster enough support to secure a nomination as prime minister. However, according to many political analysts, it doesn't mean that it cannot be done. Because once again, we need to remind you of the old saying that politics is the art of the possible. And it has been proven time and again that in Thai politics, anything is possible.
Yes, but for now, we can say that the future of Thai politics is still full of uncertainty. So what is rather certain is that if Paetongtarn is eventually dismissed by the Constitutional Court, the grip on political power by the Shinawatra family will be severely shaken.
But will it go as far as the headline in the Straits Times of Singapore suggests or not? Remains to be seen.
Yeah. Well, it has been a busy week for the Shinawatra family as well, despite, all the reshuffles and the politics is going on. And it's also a busy week for a lot of reporters.
Definitely.
Yeah. So while the Constitutional Court accepted Paetongtarn's case for consideration and ordered her suspended, her father, Thaksin, was also in court on the same day on lèse-majesté charges. So amid the speculation on whether or not he will attend court, Thaksin turned up at the criminal court hearing on his lèse-majesté charge. And this case relates to the interview he gave on Korean television back in 2015.
And it's quite common that hearings for lèse-majesté charges are close to the public. So we have to admit that we have difficulties trying to get details of what was said inside the courtroom on this particular day, right? However, there were media reports that the witnesses examined this week were from the prosecution side. Thaksin's lawyer said that the defense has prepared 14 witnesses for the next step of the court hearing, which will start on July the 16th.
I remember in August last year, Thaksin was released on bail of 500,000 baht after acknowledging the charge, and he is actually prohibited from leaving Thailand without the court's permission. Also, according to Thaksin's lawyer, since he was released on bail, he's also obligated to appear in court. So some Red Chair supporters were there as well at the criminal court to show support to Thaksin, but unfortunately they didn't meet because of some concerns. So Thaksin didn't meet his fan, but he acknowledged the fans and said thank you.
With all that is going on in Thailand, apart from people like us, another family not so far away has also been closely monitoring what is happening here in Thailand. We are talking about the Hun family of Cambodia, right?
Yes.
Since the big fallout between the Shinawatra family and the Hun family as a result of the leakage of the phone conversation between Prime Minister Paetongtarn and Cambodian strongman Hun Sen. The Cambodian media have been busy keeping tab on what goes on between the two countries, especially the Thai political scene.
Yeah, there was so much bickering going on. We would not be able to mention the whole drama, but there are actually two particular points that we would like to draw your attention to for this week. So the first one is the quote from Hun Manet. He said, "We are waiting for someone with real power, someone with the legitimate authority to open or close border checkpoints." He's referring to Thailand. And the Khmer Times also wrote that his comments come amid growing concerns that the now suspended Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn currently lacks the necessary authority to command the military and govern effectively. So in a way, they are suggesting that the political problem in Thailand is a hindrance to border conflict resolution.
But what Humanet said is not as harsh as what his father has been saying about the Shinawatra family, right? Earlier, Hun Sen said in a social media post that he was going to expose what he claimed to be secrets about Thaksin, which include what he claimed to be insults that Thaksin made toward the Thai monarchy.
Yeah, well, in the end, he didn't leak anything new. I mean, Hun Sen only said that Thaksin was not severely ill as he claimed when he left the police hospital. And remember, Hun Sen was among the first few people who visited Thaksin at home after he left the hospital. According to Hun Sen, Thaksin faked the illness and wore a neck brace in public, then took it off.
No, but what Hun Sen said that really triggered angers among many Thais was what was about how he commented on Thai domestic politics.
Yeah.
Because in one of the social media posts, he said, "I predict that Thailand will have a new prime minister within the next 3 months. And I already know who it will be, but I'm not going to reveal the name at this moment."
Yes, that remark prompted the Thai Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nikondet Phalangun to respond by condemning the Cambodian leader's calls for regime change in Thailand. He also described it as interference in internal affairs of another country and a serious violation of ASEAN and UN charters.
Of course, that did not end there, because the Cambodian Premier Hun Manet also took the opportunity while addressing a crowd at their National Fisheries Day. I don't know why he chose this particular moment to say what he was going to say. He took the opportunity to respond by saying that conflicts arising within our own country must be resolved by our own people. Stop blaming Cambodia. If not, Cambodia will be compelled to respond. And he added that he was merely protecting his national interest and security.
Yeah, so all of this are just some examples which suggest that the Shinawatra family's political influence is under great challenges. Because, the court case, the political foes in Thailand, and their yesterday's friends from the neighboring country. These are all new challenges, not so new, but just sort of all decided to join hands at once and face them this week.
It only shows that the Hun family, especially the father and the son, Hun Sen and Hun Manet, have been monitoring what happens in Thailand very closely. So you can expect them to come up with some comments, some harsh words about Thailand almost every single day now.
They make a good team. I guess that's it for this week. I hope you find it useful. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.